Battle for Haditha is a new movie by Nick Broomfield, and based on this sort of terrible event which happened during the Iraq War, in which there was a roadside bomb went off, and in the aftermath a huge number of civilians were killed. I think it's 24 civilians were killed, and originally the story was that they'd been killed in crossfire, but it turned out afterwards that the story was much, much grimmer than that. That probably wasn't what happened. And Nick Broomfield, as you know, started out as a documentary filmmaker, and I had a problem with many of his documentaries, most notably Kurt and Courtney, which I thought was very unbalanced in a film about him. He then turned towards making dramas. Actually, he had made a drama very early on in his career, but it wasn't very good. And he made a very affecting film last year called Ghost, which was about the Chinese cocklepickers in Morecambe Bay. And in this, what he's done is he's reconstructed this story. He's used non-professional actors who do have experience from being in the army, and he's restaged this whole thing. And I have to say, he's done it rather well. The thing that's most interesting is, unlike his documentaries, the film is incredibly balanced. It sees everybody actually in the war zone as victims, whether it is the American soldiers, to whom he is far more sympathetic than some directors would be under the circumstances, to the people living in this site where this horrible thing is playing out. And what it suggests is, if it's pointing the finger at anybody, it's at the generals who are conducting this war by remote control. It is to the terrorist leaders who are involving civilians in their horrible acts of grotesquerie, and yet they themselves are not getting harmed. And it's a movie which sees everyone down on the ground as equally victimised, and it's tough and it's uncompromising. And although I didn't quite like it as much as Ghosts, I have to say that considering what I had thought, my low opinion of Nick Broomfield after things like Kurt and Courtney, I really think he's matured into a very, very impressive filmmaker. I mean, he obviously owes a debt to Paul Greengrass, and to some extent he owes a debt to going back to things like Battle of Algiers, but he is far, far better than I would ever have given him credit for, and I think it's a good, worthy and serious film.